did actually get a big piece of it, but it tipped off fingers. And Ellipsis creating their own luck at the moment. It's, yeah, well, it's not close.
No.
I think this one's all over but the crying.
Yeah, I think there's still going to be some things that Coach Wright's going to want to see from this Ellipsis team. You know, you want to see that they're still playing in a very clinical fashion. I don't think he'll be happy with that previous point, because there was some...
No, not 2 turns and a point when they've just played an entire half without one.
So I think you can see him out there still giving a lot of instructions, very involved, and as you say, it's about them setting the benchmark for themselves. And I think they're going to want to push through this game and make sure that they're taking their opportunities just efficiently.
Yeah, the easier they win here, the more legs they'll potentially have later in the tournament. And well, the Christchurch chicks, they could throw a wrinkle into Ellipsis' plans. You know, they get on a bit of a run, they start to string things together. I could see them scoring, 6 points easy. And that's going to be the last thing that Ellipsis really want.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that pool just sails out. So again, we find ourselves in the situation where the ChCh chicks have the disc on the brick mark. They're back in that familiar Horo pattern. Ellipsis again poaching, and then we see again that big flick. And there we have it. Camuso connects with Mills, who's one of the young guns on their team. Funnily enough, when Camuso threw that, she wasn't sure that it was the right option. A bit of remonstrating with herself.
Well, and the receiver there, she misread it. She actually went infield when the disc was always coming this side. She loves the fact that she gets to keep her pants. No pantsing here. Christchurch with the point we knew was coming. And now it's a question of how many can they score in this game? Could they maybe do something crazy, create an upset, score 10 points in a row, Kylie?
Look, it's possible. Mathematically, it is possible.
Just not likely.
I would say it's not likely, but look, I'd love them to...
It'd be cool though, wouldn't it?
I'd love them to go on a bit of a run here and see how Ellipsis responds to that. I think, the first thing for them, it's a point-by-point game, right? The first thing that they're going to want to focus on is trying to get back a break now. And, this is the first time that we'll see, or second time that we'll see the Ellipsis offense on show. Be interesting to see how far Haas Pool goes in this wind. It's continuing to pick up. It's certainly not difficult, challenging, nothing like we saw at Div 2 a couple of weeks ago. That's a pretty good pull from Ha, with Phillips taking the disc, moving it on to Chow. And now we see Martins with the disc, and she lets it rip to a contest. And there you go. Have a little bit of a contest, and
that
not quite as clinical as we'd expect to see.
No, that was never a good option there. All Christchurch, all position, and Meehan had it all to do. She would have had to go over her defender, and Ash Martins with a bit of a nothing throw.
Nice pick up there by Christchurch. See Bell with the disc.
High stall.
Manages to get it through, and now they've got a little bit of movement, but potentially that second player there, Velen, could have got to that disc, but tapped out of her hands by a player who didn't know she was there. Chow now straight away, Ellipsis back on the attack again.
Ooh.
We see another misfire there.
Okay. So first half, 0 turns. Second half, we
Chow
have 2
makes up
points.
for it though. And she's going to launch again.
Phillips sticks the paw out.
That was well done by Phillips, because her defensive player was unsighted, so she was able to obviously take the grab, which is key, scoring the point, but also I thought she did a great job of avoiding contact with her unsighted defensive player there.
Yeah.
So Chow, I think, will be pretty happy that she was able to get that one back and have a redo.
But that's 4 turns now in, what, 4 points?
Yeah.
Yep. That's, yeah, it could be problematic. We're going to have a timeout. ChCh going to talk it over.
Yeah, look, I'm really happy to see that ChCh are actually getting a little bit of movement in their offense now. Once they get going, they look a lot more confident. I think for them, it's almost been, in some ways, a little bit unfortunate that they've been starting from that brick position. They've been starting from that static offensive start because it just hasn't been working for them. Ellipsis have been poaching a lot. They've been struggling to get that movement, but we just saw then, once they get the movement going, there's some good skills there to take the disc upfield. And obviously for Ellipsis as well, there's vulnerabilities there for sure. It's just a matter of teams being able to expose them for long enough and to take advantage of it, because they show themselves rarely, and if you don't take advantage of them when they're there, they disappear.
The thing I would like to see ChCh do is move away from this horizontal idea. They need to make all of the defenders from Ellipsis be accountable. And you're going to need to run a set that allows you to reach all of your receivers, not just 2 or 3 of them, which is the weakness of a horizontal. You know, the idea of a horizontal is, 2 passes and score, or even 1 pass and score, because you're creating that space under and you're creating the space deep. We're going to need to see some space in terms of width here to make those Ellipsis defenders accountable, to say to them, hey, you got to play on your mark. Otherwise, we're just going to throw it around you and score points. Whether it's vertical, whether it's a side stack, fell runners, these ideas that maybe you can roll through, trying to find the option that forces accountability. Yep. So changing the angle a little bit on offense. Oh, that is a bullet. Oh dear. That was not a good option at all. This is what we're talking about. We're seeing a little bit more width in the ChCh offense, changing the angle, and another disc bounces off hands. Skill error is the catch cry of the day, and it has been ChCh's downfall thus far. Oh, wow. Yeah. Justice, you'd back her in 90% of the time. World-class thrower and you, so speedy, but that one's just out of bounds. Oh, crossfield. Oh, that is something special. That is something special indeed. It's phenomenal. We saw one Ellipsis side in the first half, and now we're seeing a completely different Ellipsis side here in the second half. Oh. And then throws the goal. No, not in. That's much better. Much better. Well, and you spoke about you spoke about weaknesses and vulnerabilities. Maybe the deep huck is Ellipsis's one weakness. If there's any, well, the hammer fake as well was pretty good. So that makes it 2 to ChCh.
Yep.
They get the second point of the game.
Yep. So, looks like we've got Ha with the disc in hand. Again, ready to pull. Her pulls have been pretty solid so far. This is probably the slightly more upwind way to throw, even though it's predominantly a crosswind breeze. But it is a little bit harder to throw in this direction. So she's been putting up some good pulls so far.
This is the kind of wind that sorts the ladies out from the girls.
ChCh with the disc, offloads to Phillips, punches straight through to Meehan, and she's going to rip. She doesn't need a second opportunity there. Unsurprisingly, we see Weatherall on the end of that long shot from Meehan.
Oh dear.
Oh, that's... She
Again,
won't be happy with that, Phillips.
Another turn.
She wanted to emphasise that she's coming off a slightly underprepared lead up to the season, so maybe that's what we can put that down to. But I don't think she'll be happy with that, and her housemate Egan Griffiths won't be happy with it either.
Didn't she play AFLW?
She did.
I don't know how you can be underprepared then if you've just had a season of women's Australian rules.
It's a fair statement. We see Meehan, and then we see a lovely use of the change, just changing the direction there. Caro Ma, she just finds the gaps. She's another player who I think I've just really enjoyed watching her progress over the last couple of seasons. Played under 24s, was a really fantastic addition to that team, and I think she just brings a lot to the Ellipsis roster. She's very confident with her throws, but also I love it that she sees options that other people don't see.
Yep.
And she's not afraid to throw things that would be, traditionally unconventional.
And is that something she's been taught, or that she's kind of figured out by herself over the time?
I feel like that's just athletic instinct. That's one of the things that I love about her as a player. She backs herself, she's confident. She's not overly confident in terms of, bordering into just recklessness, but, she'll throw, as you saw earlier, she threw the loopy flick. It was there, it was on, it was perfect, so, yeah.
Well, that makes it 11-2.
Yeah. It's been a little bit less speedy going in this game than we would have expected based on the first half. I think the first half went for 23 minutes. We're probably already at that for the second half now, which is good for the ChCh Chicks.
Oh. Yeah, and skill error. So throw away, receiver can't get there.
Yep. We see Trenwith with the disc to Chung.
Well, Moore gets covered.
A little bit isolated.
Trenwith.
Yeah, that's good marking by the ChCh girls. Are really forcing Ellipsis to work for, and that's what we want to see. Results in a turn. Oh, they've been looking early. Yep, we see ball, just put it up. And that's just going to be a little bit too far for both of the players there.
She's just overthrown that. Just a fingernail less power.
You could see it coming though, couldn't you? As soon as the turn happened, you saw the streak deepen. It was just temptation was too hard to resist there.
She nearly pulled it off. It was.
She did. I feel like Dignam had she was pretty close to the contest there, so it would have had to be a very accurate throw to come off. But I can understand the temptation not being able to be resisted there. Let's see if they can build up that pressure again around the disc. Ellipsis getting a lot of quick movement now. This is more what we expect to see. Trenwith holds it up to Dignam and back again. Some little give goes. Oh, Chung, little juggle, holds onto it. Trenwith is working hard this point. And we see it, Dennis straight in. To Lise. Oh, sorry. Lisa's not in. Moore's got the disc on the end zone again. High release backhand. Up, unfortunately, to the ChCh player.
And ChCh.
And we see them again.
Oh, and that's a pretty good throw.
Oh.
That's not a good bid. Looked like Chung really created the contact there.
Well,
I don't know how you saw it.
It's not contested there by the ChCh player, which is a little surprising. I mean, Chung closed the distance really quickly. As we see another throw, but just out of bounds there. So a little bit of obstruction there, but Ruby Anderson not able to keep it in. And we see Macaulay back. She's really trying to work for that flick, and there we have it. Off it goes. Chung again. This time much cleaner. Oh, that wind starting to just lift some of those discs when they don't have quite enough spin on them. We see ball with the disc again. She hasn't been afraid to put it, but now she's short. Quick little give go, and now she looks for it, and that's a great option.
Oh, yeah. What a throw. The inside out forehand to the backhand side. That's not easy to do.
No, and I think, you're starting to see the ChCh playing with a little bit more freedom. I don't know, maybe they're just a little bit more, a bit of the nothing to lose attitude now, and they're just sort of playing a lot more like we saw them play in the first game. They seem to be a little bit inside their own heads early in that game, which you can understand when they've had a few quick points piled on against them. But now they're starting to get a little bit back more into their stride, feeling confident that they can get the disc back from Ellipsis as well, which I think is really important for them to have that belief. And, stringing together a really nice point.
And I like that they're making Ellipsis work for this. Ellipsis, they've given up a few turns, given up a few scores, and it's just making their tournament harder for themselves right now.
Yeah, and look, I don't think they're going to be hitting the panic button by any stretch of the imagination.
No, not at all.
But I think
there's a difference between winning 15-0 and then winning, 14-3 and going to time cap.
Of course, yeah. And I think for Ellipsis, one of the things that's interesting to watch is obviously one of the trademarks of their play is the very short, fast movement, really puncturing through that.
Interesting, Kylie. I just received word from our highlights.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
Caro Ma just exerts her dominance there and plucks that one out of the air. As we see Phillips with the disc, again through the middle. They're going to need to tighten that up, ChCh, if they want to really slow down the Ellipsis march. Oh, that was a good effort. Phillips holds onto the disc. Oh.
Ash Martins.
Trademark bid by Martins, but unfortunately not successful in this case. And we see ChCh with another opportunity. Sorry, what were you going to say? That you received word?
That catch on the sideline was actually in.
Oh, from Anderson, right.
Yes.
I think she called herself out, didn't she?
Yeah, I think she did. Doesn't matter. Play goes on.
Play goes on. We see Phillips Tamar, and
Ooh.
again, Egan Griffiths not happy with herself there. You don't see that happen very often, so I can
No,
understand.
she's dropped that cold.
I can understand her distress. Oh, Camuso just says, I don't have any players deep. It doesn't matter. I'm still sending the disc. 3-on-1 there. Phillips gets out muscled. And just like that, ChCh have got another point on the board.
The Ellipsis defense, they're like, you won't throw that. And she's like, watch me. 3v1, Phillips can't get the job done, and then it's all one-way traffic for the ChCh score. Oh, phenomenal.
That is great. I mean,
you won't throw that.
I can completely understand that
Watch
Phillips was outnumbered 3-1 there, but I guarantee you she will still be quite dirty with that outcome.
Oh, her athleticism is something to behold. Obviously, AFLW for the Melbourne Demons. Don't quote me. I think, maybe. We'll confirm that.
Yes, you've got that correct. Well done.
Oh, Frisbee knowledge, eh? And, wow, she's been out-read there, I think, more than anything. More than out-jumped, out-talled, just out-read.
Yeah, it's a little bit of bump off the play there as well, which I'm sure she's used to. But, yeah, she won't be happy with that, I think. I'll have a little chat to her post-game and see what her thoughts are on that particular play.
Well, it's pretty good. Good for the ChCh chicks. They're buoyant at the moment.
Yeah. And, you know, we talked about this before. We talked about it in the, well, we were talking about it in the previous game that ChCh have got this, you know, this mantra of women, of belief, excellence and whānau for their women's team, which is family. And they're showing that at the moment, you know.
Oh, Egan Griffiths has nearly thrown that away.
Prentice picks up the scraps, but then they're just looking a little bit ruffled. And this is going to be something that the other women's teams in the division are going to be very happy to see.
Oh, well, there's the block.
Oh. Chow left that one alone after she got the block, which was a great read from her to come in and get it. And then she just let it float back down and almost, yeah, we almost saw.
I'd like to see her either catch that or kill it. And
Wow,
pretty much
that was
jump
a
over.
great pickup from from Meehan, and really important on the end zone line there.
Oh, okay.
It's getting a little bit scrappy, isn't it?
Exceedingly scrappy. Did not expect this at all from Ellipsis.
No. We see Bell with the disc. Back to Teo. They're happy to reset for now. Punch up as they can. Teo working hard down the line there. They made some good ground, but they're still stuck on this sideline.
Yeah, they need to create some width here somehow, Carly. They need to try and get...
Oh, another hammer fake. I'm loving the hammer fakes.
They need to get the Ellipsis defenders playing a bit more accountable. They're
Yeah.
all poaching this strong side.
Yep.
They need to create some width, create some angles so that they can attack the end zone.
Yeah, small spaces, great.
Oh, yes.
Great D from Teo. And now we find ourselves with the ChCh their own opportunity nice and close to the end zone to hit a score.
I tell you what,
Wow.
Carly. I tell you what, if you had just walked over, you would swear the score is 9-all. But it's not. ChCh all of a sudden are giving Ellipsis all they can handle.
Absolutely. And I'm particularly loving the post-scoring celebrations of number 2, Tash Mills. Every time she gets a score, and there's been quite a few of them already, she is joyous. And that is a beautiful thing to see.
Well, was fun one of the words of their mantra?
Fun wasn't one of the words, but belief.
Belief?
And I think we're starting to see that a lot more than we saw in the first half. excellence. Well, they've definitely stepped up their game a lot. And that idea of whānau, of family, it's a beautiful thing to see them all playing really hard for each other. And they actually look like they're having a lot more fun now.
It's amazing what a little bit of confidence can do.
Absolutely.
I'm surprised Steve Wright hasn't called a timeout here. He might, well, the Ellipsis team may have benefited from a bit of a chance to catch their breath, a little bit of a steadying break, so they can just get their heads together and have a bit of a chat, think about things. But they're going to roll with it and keep on charging in this game.
Yeah, look, and obviously they're backing themselves, and I think that's great for them to see. And it doesn't feel like there's any panic setting in or anything like that. Probably more annoyance than anything else, and I think they just probably have higher expectations of themselves as we see Phillips, and that's more what we expect to see. And I think Coach Wright will be really happy with that response. That was kind of the more clinical play that we've seen a lot of in the first half that's been pretty absent in the second half.
Yep.
In terms of the number of turnovers that we've seen. So that just looked a lot more like the style we've become accustomed to for Ellipsis.
Well, Egan Griffiths can do it all. Gets herself in the end zone on that one and catches a very nice score. Courtesy of Kat Phillips, elevating, catching, and then throwing a very reliable forehand into the end zone.
Yeah, but even with those throws, you can still see that the wind is starting to take them a little bit.
Making things interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely making it a little bit more challenging than it has been earlier. And we had some really high levels of humidity for the first game, and so the disc was tending to hang in the air a lot more. And now we're seeing that if the angle of the disc isn't correct when it's being released, it's getting punished by the wind. So
I have to wonder if it wasn't more windy, if ChCh would be handling it a little bit better, being from New Zealand and all.
Yeah, I mean,
then again, Melbourne's a pretty windy place too.
Yeah, and Wellington tends to be the wind capital over in New Zealand, so the ChCh girls will definitely be used to playing in the wind, but I think it's just been a case of them getting a few points on the board and knowing that they can do it. Good pressure around the disc again from Ellipsis, with the Chicks struggling to get through there, and we see that wind just taking that one over the head of the intended receiver. And Ellipsis will be happy with this. You know, they're getting back to the point where they're getting turns essentially in their half of the field, only having to work up shorter distances, just being able to play a little bit more to their set structures. More with the disc.
And ChCh have gone back into their hybrid.
Yeah, sends it to Dignam. Oh, unforced error there though, just didn't quite find you as she was looking for her. Little bit of argy-bargy on the mark. Seems like everything's okay there. Oh, we see ball with the disc in hand.
Oh!
Wow.
Not in my house. Get hand blocked.
Wow.
Sent back the way it came.
ChCh with a big hand block. And Justice just looks straight for... Oh.
She's done it. She's
Wow. Ruby Anderson there looked like she'd cooked it, but she's just regathered. It's almost like she'd started celebrating before she'd scored the point.
I think she had. She spent it before she'd earned it. And, well, she caught the second one anyway. And that hand block, oh, as solid as you could ever see. It's like it hit a wall. It just dropped to the ground. That was it. Didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, and you can really see that when the pressure up around the disc increases from Ellipsis, that's when the ChCh Chicks look their least confident.
Yeah.
You know, if they're able to get those first couple of passes out and get some flow going, they just seem to get into a nice groove. But when Ellipsis can turn it up a couple of notches around the disc, which they did then, and that was a huge hand block from the French import, although I probably shouldn't call her that because she did play last season with them, so she's very much part of the Ellipsis
Honorary
family.
Aussie.
Yeah, but say, yeah, very impressive hand block. That was great. And now, I think, are we at 13-5? Is that the score now? We've got a frisbee obstructing our view of the scoreboard, so I'm taking a guess there. But Ellipsis would be keen to finish this off quickly.
Yeah, I think they
Probably
really
quite
should
got
have
a
been
plan.
on the sideline by now.
Yeah.
If things had gone perfectly to plan,
Yep.
according to their master plan, where they win the final game and go back-to-back 15-3 or something. It's not going to be that way, and they're going to have to fight a little bit longer.
Yeah. Oh, we see again, good bid by Palmer. Oh, that potentially is not going to stay in.
That is not going to stay in at all. It's going to go inside out and tip over.
A little ambitious with that, the angle on that throw given the wind. But again, you can see that once they break through, and you saw Ellipsis trying something a little bit different there with their,
it's about that
their
movement.
defense.
That
and
movement and when they create a bit of momentum, they seem very hard to stop to ChCh.
Yeah, let's see if they can get a turn up this end of the field. Trenwith with the disc. Through the middle to Dignam, that's lovely. Using the width again out to Palmer, punching back through the middle. Happy to do lots of short, sharp moves. Back in the hands of Trenwith, who launches it, but the angle on that.
Oh, she's going to bid. Oh, my word.
Yeah.
There's no way she wheels that in, but she nearly did
far.
anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, she is so incredibly fast, Kylie.
She
I can't
really
believe how much power she has. You know, she's going one direction and then turns around 3 steps and she's motoring in the other direction.
Yeah, Sally Yu spent a bit of time in Sydney last season for work, and so she used to come along once a week to our rogue training sessions, and I mean, she was super impressive then with her speed. As we see another huck go up from Camuso. Nicholson working hard, but again, just not quite able to get there. Yeah, and you know, her throwing skills and her general frisbee skills have just improved so much since then, and she was pretty impressive then, and she didn't have an under-24s campaign under her belt then, and I think she's absolutely going to be one of the big stars of Australian Ultimate moving forward.
Well, she's certainly heading in the right direction.
Absolutely, yeah.
You become a star by making big plays, and she's shown herself willing to attempt the plays, and that's the most important thing sometimes, is the attempt. Not necessarily making them, but certainly having a crack.
Yeah. Good pressure there from Dennis on the mark and around, as we see Trenwith snag that one in. Back to Dennis. Oh, another one taken by the wind, but Moore reads it well. Grabs another point for Ellipsis, and that puts them just one shy now of finishing this game off. I think they'll be pretty keen to try and get that turn early and finish at next point. But equally, ChCh, they're still having a go at it. And as we said, once they get that movement going, it's just their skill errors that are still letting them down. So I think they've got some good direction to keep working on between now and World Champs in a few months' time.
We got a timeout call. ChCh going to bring it in and talk it over. I think we might take a quick break as well. Be back with the conclusion of this game. Ellipsis from Melbourne playing ChCh from New Zealand. We'll be back more than a moment.
right. Well, we're back after the timeout. Just doing a quick score check. Yep, we are at 14-5. That's good.
When I was coaching, Kylie, I love to create situations within the game so that the score was largely irrelevant, and it was more about how you approach the next 1 or 2 points. And if I was Steve Wright out there, I'd be throwing down a challenge to my team, and I'd be saying, hey, girls, imagine it's 14-all, and this is Universe Point, and we need to get a break here. You know, just throwing down a bit of a challenge, trying to change their mental approach to the game. Not that it's 14-5 and, hey, we've got, you know, a handful of points here that we can just take our time to win. Let's win right now on our terms. Oh, that's...
Yeah, that was a good bid there. And then we see Teo just launch it. That's a lovely throw. And just like that, score for ChCh.
Wow. They have looked so good. When they can create an angle, get a bit of movement, they have just looked magical. It's a thing of beauty to see these ChCh ladies throw, because, damn, they can rip it.
It's interesting as well how much difference just a half second or so can make, because that was a pretty good effort on the bid from Martins. Really, like, Teo had to work really hard to hold on to that throw, hold on to the catch, but then Martins is on the ground, and you know we've seen that when there's an opportunity there for ChCh to huck it, especially with no mark on, Teo could just take a pick of where she wanted to go. She had a couple of players streaking deep, and able to put up a perfect throw and score another point. Live to fight another day.
I spoke about what I'd be challenging my team to do if I was coaching Ellipsis. I'd be doing the same thing here with ChCh. I'd be saying, hey, girls, all right, where, you know, imagine the game is, it's just before half. They've got 7 points. They're on 0. This is their potential to take half. Hey, let's try and get this point, get it to 7 so that we're not so far down heading into the second half. You know, try and switch things up so that, you know, you can put yourself in an extra situation against a quality opposition.
Yeah, and we see ball with pull. It's a nice pull. It's going to stay in. Picked up confidently by Chow. To Phillips and, Prentice. Sorry, go on.
This Feldrenner has been the offensive choice for Ellipsis. They've always got that isolated player in the middle, couple of handlers, and then the two players playing deep.
Yeah, no, Chow just pops up. Oof. Pops up the hammer, which is picked up well by Prentice. And there we have it.
That's all she wrote, Kylie.
That is the end of the game. It almost feels like a little bit of an anticlimax, doesn't it? After we had some great play in there, and then Ellipsis have just sort of said, all right, time to finish it up now.
And I did say I could see ChCh scoring, 6 points, and that's exactly what they did. They get on the board with 6, which is a pretty good showing against a very, very strong Ellipsis team. They did turn the disc over in the second half, though. Could we perhaps see some vulnerabilities that may turn up later in the tournament?
Look, if I was coaching one of the women's teams at this tournament, I'd definitely be having a little look-see at that footage and just seeing where some opportunities are there to cause a little bit of havoc. Because, as I say, there's definitely some opportunities there. I think the door closes pretty quickly, and there's also obviously some fantastic athleticism there, which we saw on display, particularly in the first half, really clinical. So that's that's what we're looking to see, and that's pretty much all for us. We'll see you for the next game.
Multi.tv.